All right, as you can see here, 84.9% for myself, 76.1% for my opponent, who was from Brazil. The computer said I played like 2300, which is my goal. Said he played like 1950. So let's go see what's up. All right, D4, simple stuff. Knight F6, the classical Indian formation. I want to play E3, take him out of his opening preparations, whatever those are, and let's see how much chess you can actually play. C5, very solid, hyper-modern concept. Hit the D pawn with the C5 pawn. If I take it, he's not even threatening to lose a pawn. D takes C5, no good. Queen checks, he can just take it like this. So it's not even really a threat there. Computer doesn't like this, but I'm going to steer to a position where this is a very valuable move, potentially, if my opponent doesn't know what's going on. Queen C5. It's like, you're going to move your queen to play E5? I don't think so, but whatever happens, happens. Bishop D3. Now he's threatening to play knight E4. He's threatening to play bishop to G4 as well. Potentially. We're going to stop knight E4. That's the main thing. So he's like, yeah, whatever. C4 is inferior. Simply bishop to C2. This is the prescribed response. As you can see, this was known to be the best move long before any computer programs were really strong. They were very weak back in the 80s. So that's how far back. This goes way back. Bishop C2 anyway. Here he's threatening. Again, now I want to tell you, take this time to tell you, most of my dad's rules, or when I use my dad's rules, mostly I'm going to use rule number 1, which is know how to win, which is short for know how to win the situation. And that is a rule that applies to every game. It doesn't matter what game you're talking about. It's an every game rule. That's why it's rule number 1. The rule my dad used the most was rule number 2, which is, what's he trying to do to me? So let's ask ourselves, rule number 2, what's he trying to do to me? Notice he has knight and queen aiming at playing E5. So since we know this, now I have prior knowledge that this is the plan for black because I've seen this in actual games. I'm not talking about just this game's, having played it. I'm talking about strategically, this is the setup that they do to play E5 and not today. Now, he can play bishop to G4. I would just play knight GF3. It's no big deal. So I'm just giving you a heads up on that. It doesn't like this move. I don't care. One of my dad's other rules, play the moves you see. Well, play the winning moves you see. Not winning specifically by force, but winning in this case would also qualify familiar positions, etc. Don't try to be fancy is one of my dad's other rules. So don't go in for some crazy like A4 out of the blue, okay? Play the things you've studied, play the things you're familiar with that are proven to be good. Don't invent stuff at the board unnecessarily is really the intent of my dad's don't be fancy rule. All right. So yes, rook to b8 I think is an inferior move. Conceptually, normally it just stays on a8. It's not much of a threat. Bishop g4 would have been a better move by far. Yeah, I don't care. He doesn't like this. And it says I overlooked something. What did I overlook here? An opportunity to attack a pawn chain. Yeah, I don't care about that. That's not the real goal of this opening, to play e4. Okay, the goal is to play knight to e5, because this is the difference between a computer and a human. The human does not like seeing knight sitting on e5. It's very bogus, and it gets under their skin. Good, that helps me. That position is weird. Now this is a weirdo's move. He's not going to play knight g4, pawn takes, because rook takes rook, okay? That's not even a threat. Now, there's a, what's he trying to do to me threat, rule number 2 of h4, knight h5. My goal was simple. My main goal is to prevent e5, which I am going to do. And this prevents e5. The computer recognizes this is the best objective computer no humanity move. This is also the move that's best for my familiarity. And so I'm blazing these moves, as you can see, 16 seconds, like this, because I know this position. This gives me a chance to build a time edge if I need it. Don't do this to everything. You do this when you're completely playing things you already have studied and know, okay? This is what happens here, what he's going for. What happens when you lock the center like this with knight e5 is that black has an opportunity to a queenside attack. White has an opportunity to kingside attack. And it's very dangerous for black on just a percentage basis because his king happens to be on the king side. The white king is going to be safe-ish on a percentage basis. I'm not talking about the exceptions to the rule. If you're automatically looking at exceptions to the rule to counter the generalization of an instructor, you're wrong. You're missing the point. So I see youngsters doing it all the time. But you could do that. I'm like, dude, we're talking about the generalized percentage. So the general percentage here is that black's queenside attack is less dangerous on a percentage basis than white's kingside attack, if that's what happens. So we're just, looking on the overall, just the percentages. If you look at if you track one win-loss, that's what the percentages would tell you. So b5 is a solid move, but it's not really threatening anything. We're threatening to play b4 and then do what? Take? Which is, definitely what the threat is, but it's an inconvenience, all right? So, knight e5. Dubious, according to the computer. All right? Repeatedly moving the same piece can't... Yeah, okay, that's all true. That is a truism. Okay, it is very true. However, in this case, there's a specific reason I'm playing this. Again, the computer is a grandmaster level player. It's completely different, and he's a robot. He doesn't make mistakes like a human makes a mistake. The computer makes mistakes in calculations rarely, or misevaluations of position rarely. The human gets annoyed by this knight. So this is a good move. Is it a great move? Objectively, the computer says no. I accept that evaluation. But as a human, it's annoying. And in a 10-minute game, it's going to be annoying, in this case, for another about potentially 9 minutes. Short-term annoyance, all right? h4. Now, there's a do-nothing move. Now, I already told you, he's going to play knight h5 and knight g3. You should be able to see this like I did once I've explained it, that it's potentially on the road. You're like, okay, you're not really surprised by h4. Neither was I. Keep rolling. Best move, of course, castling. This is, the bishop on this diagonal for kingside attack. Knight on e5 for kingside attack. Rook potentially going to f3. Queen potentially to g4 if this knight moves, etc. Sometimes queen f3 is the move. This position is a little bit different because he's wasted time. He's wasted 2 moves on this pawn move here, and he's not done wasting time yet. What can I say? But this is a recurring theme in this kind of opening. So it's not that this guy's a wacko. This does occur. Now, I haven't ever really looked at it in game review because it was just goof-off games that don't really mean anything. But here in game review, I'm not shocked that the computer is not impressed with these 3 consecutive moves that really don't do much, okay? But they're not losing, and they do have a real point of knight to g3 with the potential idea of maybe knight to e4. f6 is really not in the cards because we have the bishop or knight going to g6. So not impressing. Again, he wants me to play e4. There's no rush to do this. I want to see what he's going to do. Going to play knight to g3 there, Bobby Fischer? Let's find out. Again, the computer 4 moves in a row. It doesn't like his move, okay? He doesn't have a threat. What's he threatening to do? Knight to f5. Whoop-de-doo. He goes knight to f5, then I'll hit him with e4. And he'll rue the day. Because if he takes it, I'll hit him again with knight takes e4, and now my bishops are just coming to life. In fact, I did it anyway. I beat him to the punch. You know, I forgot what I had done here. But that's the whole idea, is to get my pieces going. He can't really take, he can take it. If he plays pawn takes pawn, knight takes pawn, and then knight takes knight, well, I get bishop takes knight, and I'm commanding this diagonal, potentially other kingside attack business. So this puts the pressure on him. That's another great move. Now here, he's locking the structure, or so he thinks. So the thing here is, I don't really want to take pawn takes pawn, because e takes is not only forced, but it's good. Because it frees this bishop up to get to f5 and become a meaningful attacker. Right now, this guy is a total giant pawn. Now, to be objective, this guy's a giant pawn too. But this one's worse. And then it's another thing, you know, as my dad would say, don't get fancy. Don't get fancy. Play the solid moves. The solid move here that I think is upcoming, I haven't seen the game review of it yet, is knight takes knight, queen takes knight, e5. Solidifying this as a chump giant pawn. So let's go take a look at this. It doesn't like it. Well, I'm not surprised. The only move, really, e5. Now again, we're playing to annoy as well as play the best moves we can. I'm going to hit this guy potentially with f5. So g6, very active, and stomps f5. Notice he's got bishop, pawn. The bishop x-rays to f5. So he's got 1, 2, because that hits here, 3, and then 4. No problem. Complete your development is not one of my dad's rules per se, but you could call it that. That's anyone's rules, okay? This is a generalized chess rule. This isn't one of my dad's, you know, genius concoctions, okay? This is a known genius concoction. Get your pieces out, is how my father would say it. Okay. Yeah, knight f1 is coming. But I'm looking, you know, to do some stuff, get this knight here, and get ready to do kingside push. This is another one. I see this move is coming. That's why I'm here. So when I play knight f1, if he takes the knight, king takes, for example, keeps this queen defending this pawn. It's just what's known as overprotection. I'm overprotecting c3 with the queen on e1. You know, that is a known concept in chess. So knight f1, let's kick him out. He's like, no, I don't want to do that. Okay. He plays knight to h5. I wouldn't have said that's double question mark. Just one question mark is what I would give it. But, you know, I'm from the old school. And you better believe I took it. And the reason I took it is because how's he going to, he can't move the knight. You know, he doesn't discover to attack my queen. I'm going to take that pawn. You better believe it. Don't get fancy. But my dad would say, hey, a free pawn, literally with no compensation, you're almost obligated to take it. And this is a free pawn with there's no compensation for black. He gets nothing out of me having my queen here. He's threatening to get reamed by g4. So his move that he has to do is, okay, remember my dad's rule number 2. What's he trying to do to me? Okay. What is black trying to do to me, white? Flip the coin. It's a coin like this Chuck E. Cheese coin is right here. All right? flip the coin over from heads to tails. So it's not what's he trying to do to me, but what am I trying to do to him? The answer is G4. This move is winning a knight. So he needs to guard the rook so the knight can move. All right? Because if he goes bishop to G7, G4, he can just go, well, knight to F6. Basically, he can't go knight to F6. That's a good question. He can't play bishop G7. He has to move the rook to G8. Yeah, I was thinking that G4, knight to F6, but I would just play knight, queen. No, yeah, he could play that. No, he can play that. G4, I mean, if he goes bishop G7, G4, knight F6 is safe because the bishop guards it. If I play pawn takes, then queen, rook takes queen, okay? So that's not very good. I don't want to play queen takes rook, bishop takes queen, pawn takes knight. I'm giving away my best attacking piece with a kingside attack that's now including every piece except one, this rook. So G4 doesn't work if he plays bishop to G7. Because bishop G7, G4, knight to F6, and now my queen has to move. And he just goes, he'll play eventually queen, knight to E4 or knight to D7, whichever he feels like. But he didn't play that. He played the best move, which was really a great move. Okay, we got to give it to him on that one. That is a chess move. Bishop to G7 was playable and solid. This is a much better move. Again, I can't play G4. He just could take my queen. So I got to get the queen out of dodge. But that's okay. Go right back to E1. Overprotection on C3. And see, knowing when I played queen to E1 why I was going there, and that is the concept of overprotection, it makes it easy to go back to this square for the same reason. So this is one of those things where in my mind, I'm like, okay, I'm overprotecting C3, in an internal monologue during the game. So it queen to E1 happened very quickly, right? Let's look at this. Yeah, like 11 seconds, just, making sure it wasn't. It's queen F2 or queen E1. Both are great. So he goes knight to G7. Pardon me. He thinks A5 is the best move. It's not really doing anything, but okay. Now he's going to play, of course, knight to F5, which I think is a good move for him. Again, this is overprotection. I've seen crazy guys play B takes C3 and then bishop takes, and you can forget about it. You're in trouble long term. So again, this is overprotection, getting this guy out of danger or getting him off the back rank, really. I've seen this before too. Not good. Do you see how you should play this? So I'm going to let you have a couple of seconds to pause the video, and I'll be back in 3, 2, 1. The answer is take, pawn takes, and just bishop to D3. Don't be fancy. No reason to go to B1. I don't want to block this rook. It might be useful. Take it, take it, take it. It likes bishop to D1, which is a great move too. I like this diagonal myself because I want one of the things that I made a video of it last week. The pawn sacrifice of F5, which is part of this opening. So this is what you would call inside. The real phrase is inside baseball, and what that means is you have explanation. On the inside baseball, they would have interviews with pitchers, like, what were you thinking about this, blah blah blah. And so, or if a guy hit made a great hit under clutch situation, they'd be talking to the hitter. And what is the quote inside baseball interview like? So this is an inside baseball move of bishop to D3, cuts off bishop to A6, which owns my F1 square. I don't want him to do that. So, it's a give and take. You get some advantages by going to D1. You get some advantages by going to D3. I like D3. It's a robotic move. Again, I'm very familiar. Now, interesting move. I don't know why it's the best move. It's good. It's not threatening anything. He's got a pin on this, so he might be threatening at some point to take on e5, but I got that guarded, so I'm like, yeah, no. King h2. Knight e3 is also good, but don't be fancy. Do your business. Get out of the diagonal. That's really what I was thinking. a6 is a do-nothing move. So it's like, hey, if you're gonna make your pawn a target, well, I'm going to massage the target. The way to massage the target is with this move, queen to e2. Now, this is again objectively not the greatest move. Knight e3 is very good. I like it better too, but this isn't. It's just, you're annoying this guy. You're poking him in the ribs. Okay, doesn't hurt him, doesn't do any damage, but you're poking him in the ribs, and it's like, dude, that feels uncool. Okay, so he's like, rook to a, we're gonna play a5 or rook to a8. Remember, he played rook to b8, and then he used two moves to get back to where he started. Okay, this, essentially becomes indirectly an admission that rook to b8 wasn't a great move. a5 would have been better. I agree. So now, let's go get some. The reason for king to h2 was that overprotection of h3 with the rook here horizontally and the king right behind him. So now, strategically, we're ready to play king side attack. Notice he still hasn't castled. He's, as one of my friends would say, he's asking for it. The move he's asking for is this move, g4. Every piece I have is ready to get in on this attack. The knight's coming. Okay. Well, g4, whatever. The order isn't that big of a deal. All right. So he goes here. I'm like, okay. Well, as my father would so famously say, what are you doing? All right. What is your plan? He doesn't have a plan. And actually, to be honest with you, I thought he could take this pawn. And I'm like, my rook's guarding it, you idiot. The next move I realized, you idiot, I don't have to move knight back. So this knight back isn't a good move. Pardon me. I don't want to play c4 either. I don't want to let him play pawn takes, bishop takes, and then bishop to b7, making this giant pawn a useful long diagonal bishop. Absolutely not. But g4 is the move, idiot. Hey, you make mistakes, okay? Tiny little mistakes, right? He made his rook to b8, rook to a8. I made my knight to f1. Counterbalances the minor mistake of his rook move with my knight move. No big deal. My position is still winning, with dead even being here. I'm plus 2.25. I'm ahead 2.25 pawns, and the material's even. So I'm doing great. g4 is coming. All right, I'm just telling you. All right, now I realize, you imbecile, g4. That's what I should have done the last time. Whatever. Because this is the key. You see now the computer is going, oh, geez, dude, this is getting nasty. Because the computer is seeing, with computational power, f5 is a monster. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 guys hitting f5. And then here's what happens. He goes back to g7 as he should. Best move. It's obvious, but good. And now the less than obvious move that really, in my mind, I sure hope this doesn't come up with something stupid from the computer. I thought the best move on the board for me was queen f1. c4, no. Now look, I have 5 guys on f5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. When I play f5, it's a positional crusher because he can't even win the pawn. I don't even have to sacrifice a pawn. I get to play this crushing-ish move. Notice again, every piece that white owns is on the kingside attack, except this guy, who's basically holding off 3 pieces, more or less. Okay, so g4 Queen F1 was a killer move because G4 was great. Now, he's asking for it. Clearly a mistake, and this is one of the things you have to understand. To help you get to be a better player, you have to go, what's the mistake that white would make here? And I don't mean something stupid like knight takes d5. That's stupid. I don't ask irrelevant, stupid questions. The answer is positional mistake is G takes F5. This is horrible. He's just going to take back with the knight. And then he would play king to F7, bishop to like B7, and then rook comes over here and he's fine. Huge mistake to take this. This is the way to take it. Best move on the board, en passant. Okay, that's how you pronounce it. It's a French phrase. It means you take him in passing. He passed my pawn. He passed the opportunity to play F6, which he couldn't play because I would just play bishop takes. But he plays his two move option, which is completely good, and I play the capture you in passing. You didn't give me the opportunity to capture you, but I'm still legally allowed to do so. So, en passant. That's how you pronounce it. In English, if you saw it written, it would be ENPASSANT, or it looks like en passant. Okay, but it's pronounced en passant. That's French. Okay, now he's forced to play bishop takes, which is the best move, obviously. Not a shocker. But, whoops. Hey, he gave me one pawn on h4 for free. Oh, yeah, so earlier when I said the material was even, I forgot I was a pawn up. That's my mistake. See, that's how simple it is. You make a mistake, you take ownership of your mistake and recognize that you made that mistake, and it's no big deal. You're not perfect. No one's perfect. All right, so now I'm going to hit him with bishop takes free pawn check. That's how my father would say it, and that's how I say it because it's fun. Bishop takes free pawn check. He's getting annihilated. All right? He was like, oh, dude. His position has gone to Hades and back to put it in a kid-friendly perspective. And if you're a kid watching this, go ask your parent or whatever what is Hades if you don't know. Okay, it's the place where the devil lives. Okay, anyway, so bishop takes free pawn check. He is in major league trouble. Okay. Now, the smart part of this move is that I'm looking to do mean things to him. One of the mean things I'm looking to do is play g5, attacking this bishop with a tempo, and then play knight g4, knight e5. If his king goes instead to d7, knight e5 hits him with check. So this looks like a good move. And I'm telling you, I don't know what this, computer can calculate this. This move might be the best move by the computer, but no human is going to play this move. They're going to go, are you out of your mind? There's a battery of queen and rook staring right down at this dude. So, not today. Okay, not today. So, hit him. G5, best move. It's with free tempo. Bishop E7, best move, obviously. Otherwise, he loses a bishop. And now I told you the best move is going to be knight G4 because knight to E5 is just a devastating position. It was so important to put a knight there in the beginning of the game that I'm going to do that again. And it's not often that you get to play both knights to E5 in this kind of a position. That's how good it is. Mistake. Now you see also the value of overprotection. Look at the triple overprotection I have on H3. He's going to have a bishop and a rook. I've got a rook, a queen, and a king. So he would, if he played like bishop takes, I'd go rook takes. Rook takes, queen takes. I'm just winning a bishop for nothing. So he does this for activity, which was why he gets a thumbs up from the computer. But I want to go there anyway. I'm commanding squares. And when I play knight takes E5, oh, by the way, I'm defending the bishop that he just opened a discovered attack against. And I'm threatening this. I'm doing all of this strategic positional play with a threat of knight checks and wins the rook. Guarding the bishop with the knight. It's just nasty. Okay, he is in major league trouble, like I told you. So he gets out of the way. Very smart move, of course. But then when he did this, notice his super pawn still hasn't moved. And this is move number, where in the heck are we? King is on D7. That's move 34. On move 34, his super pawn has never moved. Okay, you might as well put a giant S on that sucker. Now, this is the killer move. It's not a surprise really, because we were playing for this kingside attack, and I looked at this position. It just occurred to me that, well, isn't F5 just winning? Notice, I mean, it leaves this loses the defender here, but bishop is defending it now. It's unbelievable. Like I said, all my pieces except for one rook are attacking the king side. Every one of them. Or in this case, this is defending a kingside attacker. So it's by extension attacking. So I hit him F5. I can't believe that's not the best move on the board. C4, no. Oh, heck no. Look at this. Look at the evaluation bar. Let's go back and move. Now I'm going to explain this to you. This is where, as the player of the game, playing the moves, this is like you're the president. This is the veto. C4? What are you, stupid? Look, you're winning. You see this bar? It's halfway through the eighth rank. Okay, I'm winning this. Don't be fancy. C4. Is my name Bobby Fischer? No. Is my name Hikaru? No. Magnus? No. Okay. If you're going to be one of those guys, or any other grandmaster, fine, what have you. I'm not those guys. Be the best you that you can be. And I'm like, F5 is winning. Okay. Now, it might only be winning, and C4 might technically be winning up here, but I don't want complicated winning here when I have boring, easy win here. Take the boring and easy win when you have the opportunity. That's what the pros do. They're not going to make crazy moves when they have a move that's just winning. F5 is winning. I looked at this, I go, isn't F5 just winning? And I literally said that at my computer. I'm like, that's just winning, isn't it? I'm threatening F6. It's nasty. I mean, it's so bad, he didn't let me pawn fork him instead of moving away. He's safe, I don't know. Knight takes F5 is best. Really? He's got 2 attackers. I got 3 defenders. Knight takes F5, pardon me. Bishop takes, rook takes. Truly, I am not destroying him. Bishop to D8, maybe? What does that do? It's not good, I'll tell you that. I mean, there isn't a good move. They're all bad. Okay? This is one of those things where he's essentially in Zugzwang, and everything he does is bad. It's not personal. It's just the truth. It's beyond all hope. Magnus Carlsen cannot save you in this position. Okay? He's good, but he's not that good. No one's that good. Okay, I mean, isn't F5 just winning? And he moves his king. Well, I'm threatening F6. He's going to let me do it? I'm doing it. Okay. He moves out of the way, solid, trying to kill my knight, obviously. I'm like, well, I got to take this. Pawn takes free knight is what my dad would say. It's not a problem. Again, the protection of my king has been uncannily excellent. This bishop was powerful here. This knight is guarded. No problems at all. But remember, he moved queen to b6, and I went king to h2 because I'm familiar with this type of position. And so this is, you have insider knowledge of the patterns that happen, thematic patterns in your opening. This is why you have to study openings, to get thematic patterns. So when a weird move comes up that you're not used to, it may not be something you studied specifically, but the thematic pattern said king h1 or king h2. In this case, I thought h2 was the one to guard h3. Turns out that was super great. Now, I don't have knight f7 with the bishop here, but I don't worry about it. I got rook coming to f7. This dude is in trouble, and I mean big time. I don't know where he play. Bishop takes knight. Well, pawn takes is forced. That's fine. Still, what, move 36 or so? His giant pawn still hasn't moved. I'm sorry. Yeah, this is move number 38. D takes e5. He plays rook to g8, and he resigned because it's annihilation. I was about to play rook to f7 check because this is the move I think is the best. What's the computer say? Yeah, it agrees with me. Rook f7 is check is the move. I looked at rook f6, threatening the queen. I go, well, let me just do this check. He can't come forward because that rook f6 check skewers the queen. But the problem he has is that rook f7 check, king to b8, and now nasty stuff starts happening with queen to f4 threatening e6 discovered check. He can't go king to a5. King to a7 because I got bishop to e3 skewering his queen and king. It's nasty stuff, dude. This was the move. Actually, that is the move I played. Sorry. I did play it. Then he resigned. So rook to f7 check. This is when he resigns. Every move he makes is terrible. There's nothing he could do. Like I said, king b8. The computer says king b8. Rook to e6. No. King b8, e6. Okay. That's nasty. That's just nasty. Okay. I was thinking queen f4 is the move. And then with e6 being discovered, check. But it just says e6 and you're annihilated. So again, it doesn't really matter which move you see. I guess that, okay, this is inferior to bishop to e6. Oh no, he's under check. Yeah, king to b8 is the move he has to play. And queen f4 is inferior. The computer is completely correct. e6 is better. He can take it. But the thing is, the position is closed. The queen is here and bishop to e6. You're better off sacrificing the pawn forward. Bishop takes, if that's what it is. e6, rook to a7. Don't even take it. But anyway, that is all good. So that was a super fun attack. But the key thing was the interaction of offensive piece placement and defensive overprotection was clearly highlighted in this game. This bishop overprotecting g5, the queen and the rook and king overprotecting here, the queen was overprotecting in the rook on c3. Super awesome. It was just really good. Now, he was obviously a better player than 1950. The computer says he played like 1950 because he played h5, h4, knight h5, and then queen takes free pawn over here, etc. That makes, the computer's evaluation of him is less. Now, I don't see this happening during the game. It's not possible. But I'm looking at it going, this guy's dangerous. Those moves he made, the computer hated him. But they're all dangerous moves. And what's he trying to do to me? What's he trying to do to me? Again and again and again. So you have to respect your opponent's ability. If you disrespect that ability, it will come back to bite you for sure. So I hope you found this game to be interesting and exciting. Mostly interesting. It was exciting, but that's kind of subjective. But the key points of overprotection really in this game, I thought stood out to the point where it needed to be explained, mentioned, and showcased, which is what I had done. So I want to thank you guys for watching this. Now, if you want to play like this, you can play like this. Go check out my mega training videos. They'll help you tactically see these things before they happen. And this is the key. You keep doing this. You do problem solving every day, because bit by bit by bit, it makes you a little bit stronger every day. You're not going to make jumps of strength. Oops, sorry, let's put this in here. You're not going to make jumps of strength. You're going to make tiny little increments that grow and grow and grow and grow and grow. And the more tactical powers you attain over time, it seeps into your game positionally. You're like, I see this position I want to get, and you're like, I got to make sure I see this. He might have a counterattack here, which is why the computer wanted me to play C4, 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 and I'm like, no, 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 no. Keep your solidity and your confidence in your position as a trump card in reserve, which is what I did. I never played C4. I didn't want to play it. His super pawn never moved. This rook never did anything, special. He went and came back. My knight went and came back. So, that was, even. He did it once. I did it once. That washes out as even in the end. But great attacking game where I went and used that F5 pawn push idea after the en passant. So here, he's in major league trouble. If he doesn't play F5, I'm going to play F5. Pawn takes, probably, well, actually, oh, Jesus, this knight grabs his pawn. Pawn F5. If he takes with the G pawn, I take, threatening F6. If he takes, then I get to hit him with knight takes, hitting the bishop, forking bishop and queen. This E pawn is bad. This is just a crushing idea, not my move. But if he did something like this, F5 is, the computer saw, is the best move already. This pawn can't move. Pawn takes. He can't play. Well, he can play knight. If he plays knight takes F5, bishop takes F5. Right? Yeah, bishop takes F5. He can't take it. He can take it, but this is crushing. This is just absolutely crushing. I don't even want to take this bishop. I'd be much better off going back to E3 and taking it here. Because I'm going to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pawns. He's going to have 3. It's bad. It's just bad differently. But that was the threat of the F5 pawn push that I had beautifully set up with the queen to F1 overprotection, giving me H3 protection and F5 down the bowling alley, as it was. So, thanks for watching. Tell your friends. Check out my other videos, of course. Check out Mega Training. It'll make you stronger, but you got to do it every day. It's like I've been doing some, lightweight lifting to get stronger every day. Do the same thing for your chess mind. Do chess problems. So, look forward to seeing you guys again in another video. And as always, like and subscribe.